The hearing chamber crackled with political tension long before Kash Patel took his seat at the center of the committee table. News cameras buzzed like locusts. Journalists whispered predictions to one another with feverish anticipation. Across from him sat Representative Jasmine Crockett, chin high, the burnished edge of resolve carved into her jawline. She knew today wasn't just about policy, it was war. The House Oversight Committee had been convened under emergency proceedings after a leak alleged covert surveillance orders against American journalists. Patel, a former Trump administration official turned national security consultant, was being grilled on his supposed involvement. The chair banged the gavel and called the hearing to order. Mr. Patel, the chair said, we understand you were directly involved in drafting and disseminating the surveillance memorandum in question. Patel's eyes flicked across the room before resting on Jasmine. That's categorically false. What I am is a patriot, and frankly, what I see across from me, he gestured toward her, is a dangerous liability to this body. Representative Crockett is unfit to conduct an impartial investigation. She's compromised, ethically, politically, intellectually. Gasps rippled through the audience, murmurs growing into a storm of noise. Jasmine, cool as dry ice, leaned toward her mic. Would you like to repeat that, Mr. Patel? Because where I come from, calling someone unfit without proof is what we call slander. And I've got proof. Mountains of it. Crockett stood slowly, her blue blazer cutting a defiant slash against the muted mahogany of the chamber walls. Let the record show that Mr. Patel has accused a sitting member of Congress of being compromised, she said, locking eyes with the stenographer. Now, she continued, placing a flash drive on the desk before her. I'm submitting into evidence an audio recording obtained from a whistleblower who worked under Patel during his time at the National Security Council. A rustle of papers and wide eyes followed as she gestured to the committee's technical aide. Play the recording. A few seconds of static gave way to a gravelly voice. Patel's. We don't need warrants if we frame it as national security, the voice said. Well, package the surveillance orders to look like counterterrorism requests. Crockett's one of the loudest in opposition. We watch her too. She's a threat. Patel lurched forward. This is doctored. This is a setup. But the voice continued, now more sinister. If Crockett makes too much noise, we plant disinformation. Something subtle. Leak a story about her campaign finances. Just enough to discredit her. The recording ended. Silence blanketed the room like a thundercloud moments before a lightning strike. The chair leaned forward. Mr. Patel, he said gravely, do you deny that this is your voice? Patel's lips moved but no sound came. Then hoarsely, I want a forensic analysis. This could be AI generated. Deepfake tech is rampant. Jasmine narrowed her eyes. That won't save you. We had it verified by 2 separate labs. Chain of custody intact. If you're going to accuse me of being unfit, be prepared to answer for plotting to destroy my career. Patel's demeanor crumbled like sandstone under pressure. He turned to the committee, desperation bleeding into every syllable. You don't understand. The threats we face, Crockett doesn't see them. She's too idealistic, too naive. She doesn't know how real enemies operate. I did what I had to do to protect the country. Crockett stood again, walking toward the witness table with the calm precision of someone who knew the war was already won. You didn't protect the country, she said. You tried to protect your grip on power. You thought surveillance was a political weapon, not a national defense tool. You didn't see an enemy overseas, you saw it in me. Her voice grew sharper, like glass cutting silk. And here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I've been underestimated before. Called unfit, unqualified, too angry, too loud. But I come bearing receipts. And unlike you, I don't hide behind privilege or power. I face truth. A murmur of approval surged through the room. The chair lifted his gavel but paused. Patel leaned into his microphone one last time, trembling with a cocktail of rage and dread. This isn't over, he whispered. You've made enemies, Crockett. You think this tape will make you a hero, but it just painted a target on your back. Jasmine tilted her head. Let them come, she said evenly. But tell them this. Next time they send someone, make sure he's not already a ghost of his own lies. The committee adjourned in stunned silence. Reporters lunged toward Crockett, but she brushed past them, her eyes fixed forward. Patel remained seated, visibly unraveling. His counsel whispered in his ear, but his hands trembled too much to write anything down. As Crockett reached the chamber's threshold, a familiar figure blocked her path. Minority Leader Braddock, who had long been an ally of Patel's. Impressive theatrics, he said, voice oily with disdain. But power doesn't die with one scandal. Jasmine looked him over like a chess piece she no longer feared. No, she replied. It dies when people stop being afraid of the ones who hold it. She stepped past him, her heels clicking like clockwork toward the future. Behind her, Patel finally rose. But not to leave. He walked to the center podium and slammed his fist against it. She doesn't belong here, he yelled, spittle flying. She's not one of us. But the chair had already left, so had the cameras. His voice echoed into the marble dome like the last whimper of a fallen regime. Crockett reached the Capitol steps, the sun setting in fire, red streaks behind her. She paused, then pulled out her phone. On the screen a single message glowed from an unknown sender. You think the recording was the only one. Be ready for tomorrow. Her smile faded. For a heartbeat, she hesitated, but then slid the phone into her pocket and walked into the descending dusk, carrying both victory and warning like twin blades beneath her coat. The morning came with the solemn, oppressive weight of a city on edge. Washington, D.C., pulsed under an unspoken anticipation, the kind that didn't make headlines but lurked in the spaces between them. Jasmine Crockett stood in her private office on the Hill, staring through the tinted window at the Capitol dome. The phone buzzed again, this time, another message from the same unknown number, 10 a.m. Room 1 at 18. Bring no one. You'll want to hear this. It was unsigned, untraceable, but not unfamiliar. There was something in its economy, in its silence, that felt like it came from within the system itself. Jasmine's aide knocked twice. Your security team is asking if they should walk you to the committee room. She didn't blink. Tell them I'll walk alone. And so she did, every step echoing against the marble like a defiance. Room 118 was rarely used, more storage closet than hearing space now. But when she pushed open the heavy oak door, she found a man sitting in shadow, head down, fingers tapping nervously on a battered leather briefcase. You're early, he said. His voice was familiar but older, weathered. You were a handler, Jasmine said. CIA. He shook his head. NSA internal oversight. We all got moved around after 2018. Consolidations. Budgets. But I had access to the Patel files, real ones. Not just the audio. He slid the briefcase forward. Inside is a full operations log. They didn't just target you. They had names, 36 of them. Civil rights lawyers, journalists, even other Republicans. He was building a network of compliance through leverage. And it went deeper. Way deeper than we thought. Jasmine opened the case, eyes scanning the documents inside time, stamped transcripts, internal memos, recordings labeled with chilling titles, Project Dove Muzzle, Directive Echofall, a set freeze. The whistleblower looked like he hadn't slept in days. You went public too fast, he said. Petal's just the surface. There's a council, informal, off books. They've been shaping policy from the intelligence back door for a decade. He was supposed to be their public face once they made their next move. Jasmine's hands hovered over a photo. It showed Patel in a private airport hangar, meeting with 2 senators and an oil executive linked to arms sales abroad. If you burn them now, the man warned, they'll retaliate. Not politically, physically. You think Patel's rant was unhinged. That was desperation. The real power doesn't scream, it just watches. Jasmine straightened. Then it's time we start watching back. He shook his head. No, Congresswoman, that's what they want. They feed off opposition. They need a target to justify escalation. They want you loud, because then they can silence you and call it national defense. A silence stretched long between them. Jasmine closed the case. Then we'll be quiet, she said. Until we strike. The man stood, his shoulders slumped as if bearing ghosts. They'll come for me after this, he muttered. They'll know. Jasmine gave him a long look. Then don't run. She'll testify. He exhaled like a man already buried. We both know that doesn't end well. She didn't answer. There wasn't time. Back in the main chamber, the storm was brewing again. News had broken about the whistleblowers' meeting, with rumors of more tapes and names. Patel hadn't been arrested, but he was under surveillance. Still, he was here again today, flanked by private security, whispering to Braddock with a dead-eyed stare. The committee had been recalled in emergency session following new revelations of systemic overreach. Crockett walked in like thunder in heels. She didn't look at Patel. Not at first. Chair recognizes Representative Crockett, the chair said. We understand you've submitted new evidence under seal. She nodded. And this time, she said slowly, we have corroboration. A second voice echoed over the chamber's speaker system. It was the whistleblower. He'd gone on record. We found active surveillance on members of Congress without FISA approval. Orders were processed through a parallel intel framework using diplomatic backchannels. Patel was operational lead, but he wasn't in charge. He was following directives passed from a classified task force registered only under its code name. Argus Fold. The room exploded. Committee members shouted over one another, while Patel stood eyes wide, lips trembling. This is a fabrication, he howled. I demand executive privilege. Crockett turned to him slowly. This isn't the executive anymore, she said. This is the reckoning. That night, as floodlights swept over the Capitol's facade, the real reckoning began. Not in speeches or camera flashes, but in the silence after. Jasmine sat alone in her office, sipping lukewarm coffee, the briefcase now locked in her safe. Her phone buzzed again, a final message. You did well. But you've only cut off one head, no signature. Just an attachment, a live satellite photo showing her walking out of the Capitol. taken less than 30 seconds ago. She froze, scanning the room, the windows, the hallway beyond. Whoever this was, they were inside her world now. Not just watching, embedded. She slowly set the phone down and walked to her desk, pulling out a notepad and beginning to write, not for the public, not for a speech, but for herself. A new name at the top, Argus Fold. Below it, one sentence to fight the eye, you must become the mirror. As she wrote, a soft knock came at the door. Not her aide, not security. Just 3 taps. Deliberate, controlled. Jasmine stood slowly, fingers brushing the edge of her desk drawer, where she kept the Glock her father had given her long ago. She walked to the door and opened it, and froze. There stood Braddock, alone, no tie, no guards, just a folder in his hand and a smirk curling beneath his eyes. "Me should talk," he said. "About the next target,